It's so different
And that
when
hits
you're dressed
1
in
minute.
pants.
Go ahead and
It
fade
really
out
changes the way I
iTunes.
I think we're faded out, aren't we? I'm not hearing it. Oh,
It,
you're not.
it is in there. It's
Or not. That's your choice.
Or when you sit on the stage.
That's yes.
and then we'll cue Christy to start her playback.
But how do I go to this picture?
It'll automatically go into the camera.
It's like when you get a pedicure and you wear a skirt and they come and give you a towel.
Is that right? I've never had a pedicure, so I would think
I've always been dumb enough to wear skinny jeans to pedicures.
That's very nice of them.
They don't want to look up your legs.
Ain't sure it's helpful for somebody to say anything.
Nobody knows.
40 seconds.
Catherine, you're having way too much fun.
Yeah, I'm so glad to be here. I needed this stuff.
Good morning.
30.
And you can look at the handhold at the
But
top.
you know, I learned.
She does a whole playback thing before I ever go on stage.
I never really had any conversation.
And you already checked to make sure you have signal there. It should be all good.
Anyway, then I was in the show.
Yeah, we're good.
Christy?
Ready? And I heard when I had to just fall back and I fell down like this, and then I heard people
I
give
think
us.
so, yeah.
5 seconds.
And
Too late now.
afterwards, the director could have said something. Where's his name?
What's the challenge?
Okay, now we're going to get. Okay,
Now we're gonna get ready. Okay.
Good morning. How is everyone this morning? Beautiful. Grateful to have you here. Welcome to Tucson New Thought and our 9 a.m. contemplative gathering. I'm Reverend Jonathan Zenz, for those of you, well, everybody in the room knows me, but if there anyone's watching online and you don't know me, that's who I am. I am the founding spiritual director of Tucson New Thought, and we gather here every single Sunday to deepen into our understanding, to deepen into this notion that there is a power and presence that is good. There is a power and presence that is the only thing that exists. There is a power and a presence that is alive and well and expressing by means of each and every one of us. And I recognize and know that power, that presence, to be love, the infinite creative energy of love. And so that is what we are here to understand and know and celebrate this morning. So we do this by means of many things. Well, first of all, our vision here at Tucson New Thought is to create a world that works for everyone. And we engage this vision through our mission, which is providing practical tools for personal transformation and awakening humanity to its spiritual magnificence. And here's what I know, and I'm realizing now that I don't have my remote control, so it's going to be me coming over here a lot. Here's what I know about you. You are magnificent. You are absolutely magnificent. It says so right there. It must be true if it's on the wall, right? Yeah. You are magnificent, and I know and recognize your magnificence because it is the truth of all that is. Everything that exists is a reflection of the inherent magnificence that is this divine power. And so what I would love for us to do is just take a look around at the faces of everyone who are in the room, and I also acknowledge everyone who's watching online and know that we are magnificent. So just recognize the magnificence on those beautiful faces. That is, thank you. Yeah. And invite Logan to join me. Every week we do this ceremony called Lighting the Flames of Faith. And what we are doing within this is to deepen into our understanding and recognition that all faith traditions, all spiritual ideologies, all religious paths are born out of this one creative energy of love. And so for each candle that we light, we are allowing ourselves to deepen into that recognition and allow that golden thread to be illuminated. And so we light a candle for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light a candle for the shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. We light a candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light a candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light a candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. We light a candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We light a candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the divine will of love as the highest calling. We light a candle for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. We light a candle for all forms of new thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. We light a candle for all those who are as yet unaware of the power and presence of Spirit in their lives, and for the space that we are holding for them, and for all faith traditions unnamed in this ceremony. This final candle we light is a candle which represents the healing of any circumstance which requires divinity to be revealed, recognizing that divinity and love are synonymous. The revelation of love in our circumstances is how we define healing. And so this is your candle for whatever is in your mind and in your heart that requires the light. Thank you. The candle to your right is our peace candle. And this candle we keep illuminated at all times with this understanding that as it is illuminated at all times, it is a reflection of the consistent illumination of peace in our own hearts. And when we allow that peace from within each and every one of us to shine forth, we create the experience of peace in the world. And so we honor this candle utilizing this modified prayer for protection, which was written by James Dillett Freeman. If you would read this with me. Truly, the light of peace surrounds us, the love of peace enfolds us, the power of peace protects us, and the presence of peace watches over us. Wherever we are, peace is. And so, we take this time for a few minutes of centering. Just a couple minutes of quiet, meditative contemplation. And this month, if you'd like to contemplate on the affirmation that we've been utilizing all through February, it is, I am lovable, loving and loved infinitely. I am lovable, loving, and loved infinitely. So I invite you to take that into your heart. And if it's comfortable and you'd like to close your eyes, you're welcome to do so as we allow ourselves to settle into this time in this place. This reflective experience, this inner knowing that all is well. I invite us each to release whatever has preceded this moment, whatever we anticipate is to unfold, and just be here now as we deepen our focus and allow it to settle into the breath. Easefully becoming aware that the breath is happening. Allowing the deepest understanding that there is nothing we need to do to make it happen. It is simply happening. And so we allow this magnificent representation of the infinite circulation of all that is, the infinite circulation of energy, the infinite circulation of life, all reflected in each inhale and each exhale. I settle into this knowledge, settle into this notion right here and right now, that this power for good, this power of love, is fully present and expressing right here in this moment. For it is infinite. And that means that it is everywhere present at all times. There is no beginning, there is no end. There is only the infinite creative flow. Each and every one of us is part of this infinite wholeness. There is absolutely no separation. As Rumi says, we are not a drop in the ocean. We are the entire ocean in a drop. We are the entire ocean in a drop.
In this moment, in this place, I remember who I am, letting fear and worry fall away from me. I open my eyes and see there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. When I lose myself, when it seems I've lost my way, when I go inside and quiet my mind, I can hear Spirit gently say, there is only love. There is only love. that sets us free. There is only love.
And so it is. Thank you, Christy. Trying to determine if I have anything to preface this with today. I don't think I do. Would you please provide for me a number between 25 and 423? 75. There are 4 paragraphs on this page. Which one shall I address? Second paragraph. Well, this kind of ties into what ended up coming through last week. The second paragraph reads this way: science is the knowledge of facts based upon some proven principle. The scientific investigation of anything is, of necessity, a cold-blooded proposition. Well, okay. That is funny. You know, I have read this book 1,000 times, and sometimes there's just something that will catch you and go, wait, what? We speak about knowing, about science being absolute knowledge. Science is absolute knowledge insofar as the facts of science are demonstratable. The facts of science being demonstratable, that is the thing that allows it to us to experience it and understand it as absolute knowledge. And so what he's talking about here is, you know, we call the philosophy the science of mind. I am a religious science minister, and there's a lot of confusion around whether it is a science or not. And I always say, well, it's not really a science, but it is a science to the degree that we are the ones who are actively demonstrating in our lives. That's his conjecture, and I hold to that, because if we're teaching that there is a law of cause and effect, there are laws within science. There are physical laws within physics, right? There are laws that we can look to. And we're basically saying there is an infinite law of cause and effect at play that is showing up as the expression of this entire universe, as this entire experience of life. And the degree to which we can utilize the law of cause and effect and demonstrate our good by activating the law of cause and effect in our own lives, that is how we are considering this a science. But is it a science in the traditional sense? No. No. Because I actually have a slight objection to one thing he says here. He says science is the knowledge of facts based upon some proven principle. And it's actually kind of backwards. Science is actually not about proving the principle. It's about it is about looking at what are all of the things that can't be proven. It's actually not about proving anything. It's about disproving, not proving. And so our work, then, maybe we have to turn it around and say, we are here to disprove the notion that the law of cause and effect is not active in our lives. Get it? And the way that we disprove the notion that the law of cause and effect is not active in our lives, you see I'm doing a double negative there. So I'm actually saying we're here to prove the law of cause and effect. But the way to disprove this idea that the law of cause and effect is not active in our lives is to actually be the people who are out there putting it into practice. By saying, I know who I am. I get to step forth with assured knowledge that my thoughts are creating my experience. My beliefs are creating my experience. My feelings are creating my experience. And when I am in charge of my thoughts, my beliefs, and my feelings, I can actually actively and specifically create experiences for good that are good in my life and showing up all the time as my life. Now, then I get the question, Sometimes I feel like I want to do this. Then I get the question. Then I get the question sometimes. It's so funny. I'm so uncomfortable sitting down. I know. I'm like. Then I get this question, and this is this comes up all the time. Well, there are these horrible things that are happening out in the world. There are these sometimes people come and say, there are these horrible things that are happening in my life. Are you telling me that I have created those? What do you think the answer is? Yes. Actually, I'm going to say not always. I'm not going to say that you created those. Because we live in a collective consciousness. And so there are things that, I mean, with all due respect, you've never created anything dissatisfactory or destructive in my life, but I'm going to use Christy as an example. Let's just imagine for a moment that Christy has a consciousness that is at play in her life that is destructive in my life. Did I create that? I didn't create that. But if it's in my sphere of experience, I am equal to it in mind. I have attracted that into my experience. So I don't always create the things that are in my experience, but if it is in my experience, it means that I have attracted it into my experience because in mind, I am equal to that experience. And so what is my responsibility in that moment? My responsibility is to look within, not to change Christy, but is to look within, to deepen into my understanding of what is happening in my mind and in my heart that was allowing this to become part of my experience, and say, this is not a requirement. So what I am doing is not trying to change anything about Christy. I am changing my relationship to the circumstances mentally. When I change my relationship to the circumstances must do something. Because everything starts in mind. All circumstances of life, everything that shows up in our life is the result of consciousness. Both the individualized use of consciousness and the collective use of consciousness. And so if I have attracted it into my life, I get to either think something new and allow that thing to dissipate in its experience of my life. This is going to sound really bad. Or the degree to which I have changed my mind about my receptivity to the experiences and expressions of others, if that is not sustainable, then the individual that has rooted themselves in that consciousness will be repelled from my experience, because that's also part of the law of attraction. The law of attraction is about what are you attracting and what are you repelling. If you are not equal to dissatisfaction, if you are not equal to destructive behavior, if you are not equal to having enemies, then you will not experience those things. If you are equal to love only, then that is what you will experience at all times. But it takes work. It takes work to allow ourselves to train our minds. And that is the whole point of view of this teaching. The whole New Thought teaching is around training our minds to experience the good at all times. And people think that's a tall order, right? Can you imagine a life where you experience nothing but good all the time? Like, really, can you imagine that?
Not even a stomachache?
Hmm?
Not even a stomachache?
Not even a stomachache.
Cool.
But there's often good amidst our struggles, too.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. That's around the good around the struggles that we experience is the relationship we have to sometimes those circumstances which are outside the self, that we have drawn into our experience. We draw them into our experience, I think, because we are there to learn from them. But there is no God out there who is saying, you will have this experience. No, that doesn't exist. We are here to know more deeply that we are the creators of our experience, and so if there is something to be learned, sometimes it's going to be I'm attracting this struggle into my life so that I can more deeply understand the truth behind the struggle. You know, I mentioned healing with the candle. Healing is the revelation of the divine creative energy, which I call love, in every circumstance. Some people have a hard time because they're like, oh, it's only in the good things. No, it's in every circumstance. And we are the ones who can activate that healing mentality, that healing consciousness. So that's our work. That is our work. That is the science of mind, to actively engage. I spoke about it last week or the week before, to say, the entire world is my laboratory, and I am the scientist engaging in the experiment of life. And sometimes the experiments work out, and sometimes the experiments don't work out. But what do you do when you have an experiment that doesn't work out? Do you just give up? Oh, that's it. Life just doesn't matter. I'm done. To deepen into this understanding that there is good in everything, even in the struggle, we have to approach life from that perspective first and foremost. You are in charge of it all, in your experience. Are you in charge of my experience? No. I'm in charge of my experience. I'm in charge of my experience. And so, I step forth boldly into a new way of being at all times. Every single moment, it is a constant reminder that I have to engage in. A constant reminder that doesn't happen just on Sundays. Sundays are great. And my desire is that you all leave here feeling really good, feeling really uplifted. It is my desire that you leave here with something to work on throughout the week as well. Because if we're not engaging on a daily basis, actively, then what are we doing? What's the point? What's the point of all this? I have found in my life that activating this and going into a daily spiritual practice is what has changed my life for the better. And I've had some struggles in my life. You know? I've had some disappointments in my life. Can anyone relate? No? No disappointments? All right, well then come on up here. But my responsibility is to learn from those disappointments, to learn from those struggles. And to the degree that I don't do that, guess what happens? Well, I mean, you all know this, right? The lesson keeps showing up for you to learn in your life until you've actually dealt with it. So how do you deal with it? Well, we teach tools within this philosophy. The primary tool that we teach is affirmative prayer. Because affirmative prayer has one purpose only, and that is to change our minds. That's it. Everybody thinks it's about to change the circumstances, and I say no. When we change our minds, the circumstances take care of themselves. And so our work is to change our minds, to not be the attractor of the things that are destructive in our lives. That takes mental work. That takes mental work. And so it's up to each and every one of us to determine the degree to which we are going to engage in the practice. And I'm here to say there are tools available to you. You get to decide whether or not to use them. You get to decide the degree to which you are a scientist in your infinite world laboratory experimenting with these concepts. But I love to stand up here and tell you that I know what I have found works for me. Find what works for you. Because here's the other truth. If affirmative prayer doesn't work for you, don't use it. But find what does work for you. Because I always say technique is anything that works. Technique is anything that works. How are you going to choose to change your mind today? You know, the other thing around affirmative prayer is we teach a specific structured method of prayer. But everything that is happening in mind is prayer. All of it, 100% of it. When we deepen into that recognition, we don't even need to use those 5 or 7 steps that you learn about in class. Because when we know who we are, when we are so engaged and embodied in this knowledge of who we are, we don't need to worry about it anymore. Because life shows up according to that construct in mind. And so who do you decide to be today? Do you decide to be someone who is experiencing life as less than, or knowing who you are as the infinite? Recognizing yourself as this infinite power and presence of love, and understanding that this is the truth for every single person you encounter, for all creation. It is all part of this infinite creative energy. No separation. That's why I say it all the time. There's no separation. Absolutely none. I choose to identify myself and recognize the identity of all people whom I encounter as this divine power. And it lets me off the hook for the things that show up in my life because I can take responsibility for them. My ability to respond to any of it in any given situation is always, always available to me. And I don't need to allow myself to be run over anymore. I don't need to allow myself to be a doormat anymore. I don't need to allow myself to have the experiences of less than anymore in my life. Are you with me on that? You ready to experience a magnificent life of knowing your infinite self? And the rest of you? Yeah. Let's allow ourselves to move into that. You know, this entire month, the colors of love has been the theme of this month because it's February and we think of Valentine's Day, and love is kind of the theme of every February. Well, many people do. But love is so much more than the interaction of two people. It is the infinite creative energy of the universe, and it is expressing magnificently by all that is. And everything that exists is required for the fullness of life to express itself. Essentially what I'm saying here, you are a requirement for life to express. You. That is the kind of power that you have at your core. You are a requirement for life to exist. And I know that because you exist here. You exist. So you must be a requirement for this infinite creative energy of love to be expressive. So let us take that to heart. Let us step forth when we move through these doors. Let us step forth with the deepest understanding that love is how we are showing up in the world. And love is that infinite creative energy. And when we are aligned with and in and of that energy, life just gets better all around. That's what I know, and that's the science in the science of mind. And so it is. Let's root this into mind. The recognition that when we know who we are, also, we can metaphorically let that energy express magnificently from our core of being, and we can send our love magnificently to the entire world. Just allow ourselves to settle into this time and this place, allowing whatever kernel of truth which has been illuminated in our hearts to be fully present in our minds right here and right now. To allow the deepest understanding that while we may have questions, sometimes we can simply live within the question and trust that the perfect flow of spirit is presenting itself in the here and now by means of all creation. And this is the truth. I send my love over the mountains. I send my love over the sea. I send my love into the heavens, and it returns to me. I send my love so it is. I'm so grateful for this experience, this first gathering experience, and I'm so grateful that you've decided to be here. And because I'm a little off the wall at the 10:30 gathering. If you've never experienced it, it's a very different me, and yet it's the same me because I am all the colors of love, as are we all. Yes. Tucson New Thought is a community that is reliant upon your contribution, your offerings to thrive and, I never want to say survive, to thrive in this world and to proliferate this vision of creating a world that works for everyone. And so I'm going to invite you to take out whatever it is you're offering the center here today. In terms of a financial contribution, your investment, your tithe, your gift, whatever you choose to call it. Here's what I know. It is the activity of love in motion, in form, that is moving through this time and this place, just like that infinite creative circulatory reflection on the breath we did earlier. This is part of the infinite flow, this circulatory, the currency moving through this experience here and now to do great work in the world. And so let's hold this in our hands, recognize and know it for what it is, a reflection of the love in our hearts, and let's read together our divine givingness statement. Divine love consecrates my gift. It goes forth to heal, prosper, and bless. It is evidence of my conviction that spirit is the source and substance of my supply. I joyously contribute to the vision of my spiritual center, knowing that it returns to me multiplied abundantly. And we'll sing our gratitude song as the basket is passed around. Thank you. I'm going to put my reflection of love in here as well and just deepen into this understanding that what is in this basket is love in action. And so I recognize and know it for the truth of what it is, that it is this infinite power and presence made manifest in this activity of giving. And so I live in this flow, and I trust and know that each and every one of us lives in this flow. We are each and every one of us blessed by the gifts that have been given, and as we give, so we receive. I deepen into that. Trusting this, knowing this, allowing this, I simply, with grace and with ease, allow the gratitude to well up and overflow from within me for all that this does. Knowing that our vision and mission are enhanced by this. I let it be so as I relax, release, let go, allow, and let fly, as together we say. And so it is. Thank you. Lights? There we go. Yeah. Apple TV? Darwin.
Good morning, everyone. Here are your Tucson New Thought announcements for Sunday, February 23rd, 2020. Join us this coming Wednesday at 6 o'clock p.m. for our midweek spiritual practice. Reverend Jonathan and Christy will guide us deeper into a sense of self. It's a night of music, meditation, personal reflection, poetry, and affirmative prayer on Wednesday evening beginning at 6 o'clock p.m. Are you willing to be of service on Sundays? To sign up to be of service, Sunday volunteer, speak to a member of our leadership council, or simply sign up online at Tucson New Thought. You can sign up by clicking on the volunteer schedule item in the top menu. For more information on everything that's happening at Tucson New Thought, check out our website at tucsonnewthought.org and like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe to us on YouTube. Just search for Tucson New Thought on these various platforms. Thank you for being here and sharing your magnificence with us.
You're welcome.
Lights.
Really? Making
Yeah.
it difficult.
What's that? I'm making it difficult? I also want to say, I didn't put this in the announcements. I have an office project that I'm going to need some support with. It's a lot of data entry, essentially, and if there's anyone who would be willing to come in during the week and help me see through this project, I would really appreciate it. You can talk to me about what that is. Yeah, as we move forward, we're changing our membership database over to a new system, so part of that is getting previous information into the new database. So if you're interested and would be willing to help out with that during the week, I would love to have you join me for that. I want to say thank you to my father, Don, for providing our technical support today. Always grateful to you for that. Yeah. I want to say thank you to Logan for helping with the candles today. Yes. Marvis, who has stepped out of the room, I want to say thank you to Marvis for being our greeter and our Leadership Council representative on duty this morning as well. Of course, I want to say thank you to Christy for all that you bring and enhance in my life with music, and you certainly enhance this experience as well, so thank you for it.
We thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Oh, I wrote here, Lent. Those of you who may come from a Christian theology and a background, Wednesday is Ash Wednesday, the Taizé-style gathering. It is my intention that we will focus on this notion, that Lent means let's eliminate negative thinking, and that's how we will begin those 40 days and 40 nights, with actively engaging in let's eliminate negative thinking. So that's what Wednesday night's going to be all about. And class does come back on Wednesday night as well. I think that's all that I have to say, and so we can go into our final understanding.
You are seen, you are heard, you are loved for who you are. You are enough, you are complete. You are loved. You are loved. You are loved. You are loved. I am seen. I am heard. I am loved for who I am. There is nothing I need to change. I am loved. I am loved. I am loved. I am loved. You are loved. Make it a magnificent week, everyone. And so it is.